Oh yeah, my favorite Pokemon, Bird. Real-life animals in the Pokemon universe are really interesting to talk about because they appear a lot in very early parts of the anime and other promotion, and especially the trading card game. I'm sure if you're a Pokeboomer, or at least just admire vintage cards, that you may have noticed some of these here and there. Actually, a good amount of them are cards illustrated by Kagamaru Himeno, so a bit of a signature. These are great though because they really show these Pokemon in the natural world and kinda show some of the original plans, I guess, to sort of have them all coexist. So yeah, probably the most famous is the bird perched on top of the Weeping Bell, and the bird is just about the biggest animal. Right after it is the frog that appears alongside an Oddish. And aside from these two, everything else are bugs, invertebrates, or fish. So let's go ahead and talk about those bugs. There is one next to Bulbasaur, there's a butterfly in this Squirtle card, and multiple butterflies in this Eevee card. A wasp is hanging out next to Venonat. We actually have 3 different instances of worms. No, I would not still love you if you were a worm. One is being used as bait to catch a Magikarp. We see this Spearow catching one because it's the early bird today. And there's also one just hanging out by a Wobbuffet because... Now onto the ocean, there is a crab on the beach with this Exeggutor. And I'm realizing just how funny these are because, you know, we had a lot of simple Pokemon in Generation 1, but here there are just actual animals. Then we get fish, which there are even more of. There's one in the water in the Psyduck card, which is a favorite of mine. Another Magikarp has some fish in the background. This Squirtle here is swimming by a bunch of fishy shadows. Probably one of the newest cards in this batch is a Lotad with a bunch of fish. And hey, we even get a 2-for-1 with this Slowpoke on a lazy river with some fish and butterflies. And while those are some of the most memorable and mostly vintage cards, I have to tell you that the aquatic invertebrates keep going. Sure, there's this Wooper in the water with a sea anemone, but then we get a lot of coral, which yes, is actually an animal. Horsey, Quagsire, Lovedisk, Seaking, Corsola, which, yeah, is coral itself too, Mantine, Golduck, Gorbis, and Chinchou. I wonder if because it's so unassuming and we as humans typically think of it as like a rock or something, that it's included in much more cards later on, because otherwise it feels like animals and Pokemon cards are a thing of the past. I always thought it was a great idea and it added some charm to the artwork, but I do think it was a good idea in later years to further separate Pokemon as distinctly fictional, though that is the advantage of the trading card game being able to exist in so many different universes just because of the artworks. So let me know which of these is your favorite. Personally, I've gotta say the bird is just so darn cute.